Hi, welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abassi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I have my co-host, Autumn, here beside me, trying to get comfortable. She cannot seem to get close enough to me. She's trying to figure out, how can I actually get on her lap? You can't, Autumn. Usually I have a blanket, like a little lap blanket on me, and she likes to like get under the blanket, but I don't have one. So I think she's trying to figure out how to get under my shirt or something. I'm not sure. She'll figure it out. She'll just interrupt us while we're doing it. Sorry, for those of you who are not looking at the video, Autumn's face is right in my face. Okay. Today is the Reads and Recovery episode. So the book that we read was Finding Elevation by Lisa Thompson. This book was recommended by my dad, actually. He was on a cruise and got to listen to Lisa Thompson speak on his cruise. So that's pretty cool. So he sent me a text and said that he had this amazing speaker, and she's a mountaineer and had cancer, and that I should listen to the book. So that's what I did. So the book is it's kind of her memoir, and it chronicles her journey as she becomes from what I understand, the second American woman to summit what is called K2. And this is one of the world's deadliest peaks. So it talks a lot about mountaineering throughout the book. And I have no experience with mountaineering, but it was still interesting because for me, it's just interesting to listen to people who push their bodies to the extreme. And so she talks about some self-discovery, her perseverance, and it's a demonstration of her resilience through life's most challenging times. So she loses her dad. She has cancer, and then she's also pushing herself to this extreme. It is her passion. What I saw or perceived from the book was that she did it for herself, like it seemed to run very parallel to my recovery experience. And that's what I really like to do with anything that I'm reading or listening to. I like to see, how can I apply this to what I'm experiencing, and what are some lessons that I can learn from this. And she the way that she like feels this intense fear about like, is she going to survive, really? I mean, these are risking her life, these experiences she's having in mountaineering, and questioning, not knowing if she's going to survive, like having somebody die like right in front of her, going up the mountain. That was towards I guess the second half of the book. But like, there was one day that she was starting K2. I think they were just like right in the beginning. And in the same day, they crossed two people who passed away. So pushing your limits, seeming to know what your limits are. But this is what's interesting to me. Like, she was not cocky at all. She it's like she was insecure with how far she was going to be able to go and what her limits are, but yet she also had confidence in her ability to push those limits and succeed. So it was really interesting to listen to her self-talk because she talks a lot about what was going through her mind during these different mountains and the the path that she was on while she was hiking. She talked about at one instance how somebody had recorded some songs for her to listen to. And she said it was a struggle for her to listen to the songs because they got in her, they were like a worm and they got stuck in her head, which actually impeded on her ability to focus. And I was just comparing that to how I struggle with things getting stuck in my head and it impedes on my ability to focus on what's right in front of me and what I need to do. So it was interesting how much I could draw parallels with my journey, like her mountaineering and her resilience and my journey with stroke recovery and recovering from alcoholism. So I totally dug how she was so honest about her self-doubt. And she talked also about other people's skepticism that she was going to be able to achieve these because she's a woman, there was several instances where they talked about the comparison between her and the men, and some of the men, I think, thought that she couldn't do it or thought that they were going to do it better. She sometimes it really got to her, and other times she just is like, I guess, probably getting used to it or something. But she she talks about I thought it was interesting this wait that they had to do before they were able to start hiking on K2, and how she knew that this peak was in front of her, but yet it was obscured by all of these obstacles, the weather, the storms that even when she started hiking, it's like it was in one day it would be sunny, it would be cloudy, it would be rainy, it would be snowing. Um, and and how you just have to keep going. And how I was thinking what it must be like when you're hiking through snow, knowing, in a hot second, it's going to be hot. In a hot second, it's going to be hot. And just knowing like this is just a phase, this weather is temporary, and that's what recovery is like too. It's if I'm going through a difficult time, I'm having a bad day. Like the past few days, I've had my headaches have been coming back, and I'm just thinking of, well, on December 1st, I get to take my Emgality shot. And then that storm, if you will, is going to be over. It's going to pass. And I have been able to more and more be able to see my experiences in recovery as temporary. If I go to, say, the mall with my daughter, like I did, um, knowing that if I don't feel well, I know what to do. Like I have the tools, I know I have the experience, I know what I'm supposed to do, and I do it, and then it will pass. But I need to continue to be willing to to keep moving forward, no matter how small the step may be each day. And that is where my growth and improvement and healing happens, is when I allow the storms, the pain, the chronic pain, when I allow the things that happen for me in recovery, I allow it to pass. Because if I don't, if I am resistant against it, I'm not learning anything. I'm really just increasing my frustration. So, back to the book. um, she she has a lot of conversations with these folks that are with her. So from from what I recall, there was a 95 person team. Well, no, that wasn't a 95 person team. I think there were multiple teams that made up this 95 person group that was going to climb K-12. And she, one night before they actually start climbing, she decides to just walk through the camp. And she's listening to the noises coming from the different tents, and she sees different, lights and stuff like that. And she talks about there are some of the men who are drinking, and one of them is like, it sounds like pretty stinking drunk when he ends up going to the dinner tent. But she talks throughout her walk through the camp about the different people, and I was thinking about this team that she needs to climb with, as what I always call Team Rachel in my recovery. And she, even these mountaineers, these people that achieve these great things, like being the second woman to climb K2, or a second American woman to climb K2, she doesn't do it alone, even though she's the one who becomes the author, and the story is around it, as the one who succeeded. She didn't do it alone. Like, she had her rope team, she had her coach. She talks a lot about her coaches and the important role that her coaches play in her journey. And one coach even, I think, quote unquote, divorced her because he felt that she was, I guess, getting a little cocky. And from the story, it sounds like it was a miscommunication, and it came across that way to him. But that's really how we have to nurture our relationships in recovery as well. Her friends, her family, her climbing peers, they are her lifeline, just like my lifeline is my family, my friends, and my folks in recovery that show up to my morning meeting every morning, my two morning meetings every morning. I am the one who feels like I'm rising, but I wouldn't be able to do it without other people helping me along. So just like Lisa Thompson, the author, relies on her team during her ascent, so do I. I rely on Team Rachel. in my ascent in recovery. So another parallel that I found interesting was this mention of being focused and the preparation and the mindfulness. She talks about this meticulous planning and the mental fortitude required to face K2. Um, I can equate that to my daily practice, the same way that she is investing every day in um, improving her physical endurance. I'm doing the same thing. I'm trying to improve my physical endurance as well. Mine just looks a lot different than hers. I'm continuously building coping strategies that help me do things like go to the mall or you know, go whatever, do things that I otherwise haven't been able to do. So staying connected to those tools that my vestibular therapist gave me so that I can weather all of these storms that arise unexpectedly in my life, just like they arise for her. So, as much as the book was about climbing mountains, I felt like it was really an invitation to um, compare ourselves to her and confronting the mountains in our lives. And for anyone in recovery, um, I think that she makes a really powerful statement in this memoir about the importance of getting uncomfortable. She's talking about when she gets to these elevations, and so this one point where somebody's mitten and somebody's water bottle, I guess, come down the mountain, and they soon find out that the owner of those had passed away on the mountain. um she is freaking out, on the inside, but she has to tell herself to breathe. Like she is telling herself, breathe, breathe. So, regardless of the emotions that feel overwhelming, she has to maintain a certain level of control for her physical state in order to continue, because she's got to keep moving forward. So she's she's doing that. She gets to certain elevations where it's hard to even talk. People are asking her a question and she's like, it's everything she can to walk and respond. So that uncomfortable, I feel like that's how she's elevating herself. Literally, she's elevating herself by getting uncomfortable and getting into challenging places. So her triumphs and her setbacks as she ascends this mountain are such a guide for perseverance for anybody who's in recovery. And it really left me feeling like I wanted to start running again. That's what it made me feel like. And I'm just kind of blurting that out. I don't want anybody to freak out that I'm like going to go outside and start running, because I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to just go outside and start running. But I was thinking, I can do a little bit more. than what I'm doing right now. Like if that means that I start walking a little bit longer, I want to do that. Like this book was empowering, like inspirational, and it it reinforced my desire to keep climbing. Um, that it's a continuous climb and I have to take a step each day. And it requires a little bit of grit. It requires a little bit of grace, and it requires a lot of courage to keep ascending, even when, in her case, the air gets thin. For me, when I start feeling deflated, because I do, I get mentally deflated, and it's hard to keep taking steps. So I thought it was a great book. Like I appreciate that my dad recommended it, and I'm always taking recommendations. So if any of you have a book recommendation that you'd like us to take a look at on the Recovery Daily podcast, I would be happy to. It's kind of fun to read any book and see, how does this apply? Like, what can I take from this book so that I can make that person's experience be something that I can learn from too. So that's what I've got. So I hope that those of you who read the book or listened to the book enjoyed it. And we will be announcing our next book in for December tomorrow, because I don't remember what it is. But I have been thinking of what I want to do for 2025. And I think we are going to do something a little different than the book club, but I think it's going to be something that is pretty exciting. It's going to require folks to really be committed. So we'll see. It's really it's selfish. It always is. But it's something I want to do, and I'm hoping that other people can find value in it too. So it's a mystery, and I'll tell you about it tomorrow. So thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.